Transformers is about ancient alien robots crossing the galaxy for a cube that ends up in possession of the least qualified human on Earth. The first thing the movie shows us is the universe, with the cube and a monologue from Optimus Prime. But let's return to the beginning. The movie opens with a civil war between robots who somehow still have strong opinions about leadership. Both sides start chasing a magic cube that can end the war like it's the only functional solution anyone thought of. The leader of the Decepticons wants to secure the ultimate power and immediately removes himself from the war for several decades. He freezes himself in the ocean because he didn't stick the landing. Decades later, an explorer named Witwicky stumbles onto Megatron, because curiosity continues to have no survival instinct. He presses something he shouldn't, and his glasses immediately become the most valuable object on Earth, because the coordinates of the Allspark are now imprinted into his glasses. The government eventually finds the Allspark and builds the Hoover Dam on top, which is like putting a nuclear reactor in a locked drawer and calling it security. They also move Megatron into the Hoover Dam, and they've been researching alien technology for decades, and still haven't solved the "what if he wakes up" part. That is definitely a possibility. They should have thought of that, even though it tells later that he has been asleep for 1,000 years. So the Decepticons arrive and they disguise themselves as cars, which is apparently the lowest effort form of invisibility. One of them, Blackout, disguised as a chopper that exploded a few months ago, attacks a US military base to hack into their systems. The base manages to cut the connection before the hack completes, which stops the immediate breach but does nothing to prevent the giant robot currently dismantling the facility. I mean, it still stole a lot of files from the base, but since the hack fails, Blackout switches to destroying the base entirely. They can't do anything else anyway, so why not kill them all? A small group of soldiers, including Lennox, manages to escape with proof of what happened at that base. They go from "we might be in danger" to "something is actively tracking us," and it just stays under the sand like a shark that decided suspense is more important than eating. They meet a young boy that brings them to his village. When they arrive, there, the sandcrawler attacks them. It kills a few, and while that chaos happens, they try to call the Air Force to launch an airstrike. When they finally make it through the call center, the airstrike finally drives it off. That teaches them that high-heat weapons actually work, making this the first useful discovery in a war that has not been going so well. Since the first attempt of the Decepticons didn't work, they move on to infiltrating Air Force One, like they're just rotating through ideas until something accidentally succeeds. During that hack, it finds the user tied to the old glasses, and we all know what is on those glasses. So if the evil guys get the information on those glasses, all hell breaks loose. Those glasses belong to Sam Witwicky, so that means the entire alien invasion now depends on a teenager who's the most unqualified human on this planet for this. Because this is him. He can't even hold a presentation without looking like a fool. He talks about his grandfather, who I mentioned earlier, and also that one pair of glasses. After his horrible, very short presentation, that felt more like an auction than a real presentation, his father and Sam go to a dealership to buy him a car. So, there are a lot of cars, but because we are boys, we like a good old Camaro. So this car is an Autobot, disguised as a beat-up Camaro. His father was more interested in the Beetle next to it, but the Camaro has its tricks. So it plays a sound that ruptures the window of every car except its own. Sam chooses that car, obviously, and the deal apparently includes involvement in an intergalactic conflict at no extra cost. Sam doesn't really know that. For him, that is just a car. But this car really wants to help Sam. Sam is really into this Michaela chick, who is played by Megan Fox. His car steps in as a wingman, like that's just something cars do now. So Sam throws out his body to drive her home. This man has never heard of Bros Before Hoes and is actively boycotting it. Get the information that she is hot, and that she knows her way around cars, because his car decided to stop working. They fix it and he proceeds to drive her home. Then at night, Bumblebee leaves. Sam doesn't like that at all, because he thinks his car is actively getting stolen. When Bumblebee arrives at his destination, he sends out a signal to the other Autobots, because he found the one human they are looking for. Sam catches a glimpse of the robot form. This takes him from "my car is weird" to "my car is alive and everything is broken." He calls the cops. They are pretty fast to get to his location, even though there wasn't really any way they could have known where he was. The police arrest him as, well, they think he's just crazy, and his car is continuing to chase him even after he gets out of custody. He is losing his mind and runs from it. At the same time, another evil Decepticon has found Sam and is also chasing him through the city disguised as a police car. What I don't really understand with all of this is the fact that those cars don't even have tinted windows on all sides, so you can look directly at the missing driver. So that would already be the point where I would know something is off. And now I'm just really confused. The officer wasn't sitting there in the shot before. So Barricade, yes, that is the real name of the thing, I looked it up, tracks him down and confronts him directly. It attacks him and asks for his eBay username and those glasses. Bumblebee steps in and rescues Sam and Michaela, which confirms that the car is not just alive, but actively invested in keeping them alive too. The two robots fight. It just looks awesome. This is an almost 20-year-old movie, and the robots look that fantastic. God damn, 20 years, man. Fuck, I'm old. There was also a second smaller robot that attacked Sam and Michaela, but she knows how to handle heavy machinery, so she saves him. Bumblebee obviously wins the fight, and he tries to communicate through the radio, and they drive off. Meanwhile, the little robot transforms himself into Michaela's phone. She then obviously takes it home afterwards, because women never leave their phone anywhere. After that, Bumblebee scans a newer Camaro and upgrades himself, just because she had that woman logic, which Neo equals better. Bumblebee's signal finally pays off, as more Autobots arrive on Earth. They all have the same generic look at first, but they do the same as Bumblebee and take on vehicle forms. Then they meet up with Sam and Michaela. Prime confronts Sam that they need those glasses, because they need the coordinates that are, to remember you all, engraved into those glasses. They all head to Sam's house to retrieve the glasses. That means the most important object in the war is sitting in a suburban bedroom. The robots destroy their entire backyard by accident because they have never learned the concept of patience. That plan gets interrupted when the government agents show up and arrest Sam and Michaela because any situation involving aliens immediately attracts people who want control over it. So the gang is now responsible for those two, so they show up and try to rescue them. It doesn't take long until the rest of the agents appear, but Bumblebee is actively keeping them alive, right up until he's captured, and their advantage gets handed to the same people who've been sitting on this for years. The other Autobots are hiding, and so the only one captured are the two and Bumblebee. But Optimus already has a plan. So here's the point where all the storylines meet. I didn't really summarize the third, but all what was going on there, the Pentagon, wasn't really that interesting. The only thing that we got from that is that the Decepticons figured out where Megatron is. And that's the only useful thing all this hacking has accomplished. So, because the humans think they're in control, they transport everyone to a secure facility where Renzi secretly tags along disguised as Michaela's phone. It drops out of her pocket so it can look for its own way into the facility. That facility turns out to be the Hoover Dam, where the Allspark is being hidden. And also Megatron is hidden. So that means every important piece of this conflict is now sitting in the same building. Which is always great to just put things you don't understand in the same place. Frenzy has finally found the location of the Allspark. He signals the other Decepticons, so that means the whole squad is on their way to get it. We shortly see them all, and it's crazy that the evil robots all knew exactly they had to choose military equipment to turn into. On a side note, this cube is funny as fuck. It can transform any kind of electronic device into a robot. That's what they meant when it can create life. Mechanical life. So a random ass phone can turn into a robot that suddenly has explosive at its disposal is also pretty wild. But nonetheless, at the same time, Frenzy's virus shuts down the military communications. This meat little sucker also turns off the freezing thing on Megatron. Because Megatron is now melting, Sam convinces the agents to release Bumblebee, since keeping their only ally restrained stopped making sense when everything else seems to be breaking loose. Bumblebee then takes the Allspark, and it can go from the size of a building to a handy little box that everyone can carry. Physics is not a strong suit with this movie. So Megatron is now not only not chained anymore, he is also awake. That's just bad. The Autobots and humans decide to move the Allspark out of the dam, since leaving it in one place has clearly stopped being a good idea. The two IT students that were present this entire movie, and didn't do anything special this entire time, are now getting their first useful moment in this movie. They are still in the Hoover Dam and manage to restore the communication to the outside to launch an official airstrike. During the chaos, Frenzy is destroyed. That means the people in the dam are now free to do whatever they want. As soon as things are moving, the Decepticons show up and hit the convoy like they've been waiting for this exact timing. It's also the timing where Megatron got out of the dam, but somehow he doesn't intercept the convoy and is holding back. The Decepticons want a cube, or well, Megatron wants a cube to destroy everything. That makes sense, it's a generic villain story where the main villain just wants to control everything. When they arrive in the city, Bumblebee is almost instantly badly injured and loses his legs. So, I could now explain how exactly the fight went, but that's just so confusing. Important thing is, Sam got the cube and is supposed to bring it to that one building and light a flare on top to mark it. A few Decepticons die, a few Autobots die, a few humans die, but Autobots are unfavored because they are the good guys. When Sam finally arrives at the top, and the choppers are there to pick him up, it immediately gets blown up, so yeah, he has to keep the cube. So before I explain any further, what was the ultimate plan here? So like even if Sam gave the cube to the people in the chopper, the Decepticons would have blown the chopper up anyway. So there was never a real plan. It was just... I actually don't know what they had in mind. Crazy. So anyway, Megatron breaks through the roof and shoves him off the roof, where Optimus catches him, and Optimus, again, wants to sacrifice himself to destroy the cube and save the humans. It's the second time that Optimus told Sam that. With the battle collapsing into a direct fight, Sam makes the decision to ignore what Optimus was saying, and he takes the Allspark straight to Megatron, because holding onto it has really stopped being a viable strategy. He pushes it into Megatron's chest, which destroys both Megatron and the Allspark, trading the war-ending object to remove the war-ending threat. You know what? Sam didn't know what the cube was doing. It could have made Megatron stronger and not kill him. Optimus has never told him what the cube really does. Maybe the cube would have just been absorbed and he had to self-destruct himself. Well, anyway, Megatron is dead and Optimus recovers a piece from what's left. But it confirms Cybertron cannot be restored. But that just makes the outcome feel incomplete. Because of everything that happened, the government shuts down the organization that was hiding all of this. It's always a good idea to just hide things instead of confronting them. The remains of the Decepticons are disposed of in the ocean, because if something caused this much damage once, the safest place for it is apparently out of sight. The crisis ends, so Sam and Michaela immediately become a couple, and then proceed to have those moments on Bumblebee while everyone else is just present. One Decepticon escapes into space, which quietly leaves the door open for the problem to return later, and sequels to be made. And oh boy, did they milk this franchise. Optimus also sends out a signal to other Autobots to come to Earth. That leaves even more room for sequels. So yeah. So after watching robots destroy entire cities, you'd think things calm down. Instead, the Earth just releases a monster the size of a skyscraper. Yay! Well, yeah, that wraps up that awfully long movie. Hope you enjoyed and let me know what movie you want to see in the future. Alright, that's it for now. If you like this disaster of a recap, feel free to click some buttons, or don't. I'm not your dad, so that YouTube knows that my videos are worth watching. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.